Yeah, no, I mean, well, first of all, you talk about like Lisa Vanderpump FaceTiming Scheana. It's just like when Lala walks into Lisa Vanderpump's house, like how bad does Lala want to be like, and this is not a dig to Lala, but I mean, she thinks she's Lisa's equal when she
Right.
walks into the
100%.
house. It's
She
not,
thinks
she doesn't walk in the same way Katie does, or, Scheana, or really any of the others. She's really like, well, I mean, what's the difference? I live down the street. I mean, not really, but you know what I mean.
Oh, there's an energy about her that's like, I am now like head bitch in charge because I'm with this really rich guy. And
Yeah.
I definitely see what you're saying. And
Like whatever. Like I'll call Lisa any day I want for lunch. Like I mean, who the hell's Lisa? Like I don't work for her. She's like my colleague.
right, for sure. Oh, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I mean, do we think that my prediction is they will stick together, but this did happen. I'm curious, what are your guys' predictions?
That's my prediction also.
I mean, yeah, I think the gravy train's too good.
It's just like, why? I mean, I get it. Like sometimes when you're on that third martini and it tastes so good, and you have that lime twist, and then you have that fourth martini, and I get it. Like I totally get it. Like sometimes we just make our decisions because, the drinks are there. But in what world, like why? Like what do you think is going to happen next? Like,
well, this is okay. So you're saying that you get how Randall made a mistake, right?
well, I get like how it happens. Like you're in the moment, you're on your third drink, and you're like, I really don't want to do this, and this is going to fuck up my life, but I just can't say no now because like this is in front of me. Like, why not? I really do get that.
He's a serial partier.
Yeah.
Right.
He also probably strikes me as someone who's fundamentally very insecure. And that is, I think that is what drives most people to cheat, is like deep insecurity.
Right. It's like your own, like that's where we felt like sorry for Jackson, a way of like, if you really got beneath it, you're like, it really is all about you. It really is.
And your need for validation.
Yeah.
Randall's need to feel attractive, that he's still in the game, that he's not, entering, the winter of his life, that he is still like a hot commodity. And I think that also Randall is kind of ridiculed for his looks, which I think is sad. I don't think he's like that. I think he's a fine looking person. But I think that probably plays a role. He definitely is someone that did not come from wealth and like built everything he has, which I totally respect. But I think there's maybe an inferiority complex there, which drives him to make bad decisions.
Yes, and yes. I mean, listen, when I had Randall on this podcast twice, I even said this to him. I said this to Lala when she was on my podcast. Like, it was almost like, does Randall not realize who he is? Do you know what I mean? Like, look, this is Hollywood. Let's just break it down. Like, he can get 8,000 women like Lala. That's not a knock to Lala because she can get 8,000 guys. Like, it's both. But like, I get what you're saying. I don't disagree, but it's almost like, man, like you should be secure because you could get anybody. Now, I know that doesn't really make you secure because if they're with you for the wrong reasons, but
right.
I mean, people can fake it, right? So it's like, I also find you're huge, like you're a director.
Yeah. I mean, I find Randall to be also very personable and charming.
Yeah.
Very charming.
I honestly, and he's had like a great fan journey with people like liking him on screen. So clearly in real life, he's a delight.
He was wonderful. I mean, I absolutely loved having him on. He follows up, he FaceTimes, like he was nothing but both of them were. I found Lala to be so open and honest when I chatted with her. No angle, not trying to get a headline, just like you're asking me questions and I'm answering them. So I personally loved Randall and Lala both when I interacted with them before, during, and after our podcast experience. I really did. I really liked them both. I thought Randall was so nice.
Yes, and I've listened whenever I listen to them on podcasts, I find them to be so likable, like so with it and very straightforward. And I totally become fans. And so
Right.
yeah, I think it's super sad. And
What
I hope that they, I don't know. I think it's super sad, basically, I
I
guess.
mean, yeah, I think that's why it's hard for me to believe that like this would be a publicity stunt, I guess, that she would just throw away their relationship for ratings. Because I could see how you could fall in love with him, truthfully.
Well,
Yeah, I
Despite
do
him
I
not
mean,
being
too.
conventionally.
people
Yeah.
were saying like it wasn't for ratings. It was like for her book sign. She had like another book signing the
Still,
night
yeah.
before.
Yeah.
I don't think
I mean,
no, that there's no way. That would be ridiculous.
No, I
That'd be
mean, I
ridiculous.
don't, I agree. And I really do hope that they make it. And I really do feel, and this is not an insult either. I feel like they're as good as each other could do. And I know that sounds horrible, but I mean it the
yeah.
opposite. I mean, like they're kind of perfect for each other.
Right.
Okay, but I do want to say one thing. And I've heard Lala say, and maybe it was on your podcast, but I've heard her say in an interview, like basically someone said, she was paraphrasing. And she said, someone's asked me if I would be with Randall if you didn't have all of his success. And no, I wouldn't. Like I wouldn't be attracted to him without the full package, essentially, which I think is a pretty dark thing to admit. Like, even if it's totally straightforward, even if it's totally
Yeah.
true and straightforward, like, what if Randall was to say, oh, yeah, and once Lala, once the bloom of youth has completely faded, now what drew me to her will, I will no longer be interested in. Like, I think that that's actually like, I don't know. I think that there's some, it's not, that doesn't make a healthy relationship or a very strong relationship if it's built primarily on attraction to superficial things.
I mean, I get it, but it's almost like, how can I put this? Like, I mean, like I'm turned on by success because I don't like weak people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, to your point, after a weekend with Schwartz, I would be like, Jesus fucking Christ, like, don't ever fucking speak to me again. I would have a great weekend with Schwartz, but I mean, I am attracted to like powerful
Right.
personalities. I don't think I am because I'm such a domineering personality, but then I get cute and innocent and shy. And I'm like, this is so sweet. And then after a week, I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, like I can't date this person. This is horrible. So, I mean, in a way, like I kind of say that I'm attracted to success, but it's not necessarily tied to money, if that makes any sense. Like when I
it
meet
does make
you and
sense.
you're like a professional mess at fucking 48, and you're like, hold on, I have to tell my roommate to quiet it. I'm like, what? Like what? Like I don't care if this is New York or what. Like I want to throw up now. Like you're full, like that's a turn off.
Yes, no, I agree, and I think that is a charitable read of that.
I'm being
Of her
charitable
saying that.
today. I'm being charitable.
You are.
I
And I think you
know.
might be a straight woman if you understand the Tom Schwartz thing. I think I was wrong. You do get it, David.
I
You
know
get it.
I get it. Like I first, but now I get it. Like in a relationship, I would just be like, Jesus, like this is horrible. Like, what do you mean you can't stand up to Tom Sandoval? Like, get the fuck out of my way. Sorry, I have to butt in. And Tom Sandoval, go fuck yourself. Don't ever speak to him again like that. And then I've gone to something else. But I would be like, I'm so turned off that you can't even stand up for yourself and have no spine. I want to throw up.
Right.
So I get it. What do we now? Here's some controversial stuff to say. This will be controversial when I tell you this. You do enjoy the experience of Vanderpump Rules more than me this season. I'm gonna try to take this conversation and maybe get there. I don't know why I'm not there. You know what it is? I just think it's like you kind of knew all this. That's my thing. Like I knew about Brock and Scheana just from like all the blogs, and I don't know. Like I feel like nothing is
I didn't know
surprising.
about this.
It's
Yeah.
not
Okay.
like I'm not saying like I don't sit there and say where's Stassi, where's Jax, where's Kristen. I do move on the same way I moved on after LVP left, Beverly Hills, the same way. I mean, I never skipped a beat with Bethany. I'm like, I do accept once the casting change is made, like I don't really, but something for me isn't quite gelling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a reduced cast. We got rid of all the fluff. And so it's more like, I don't know. It's just not gelling. Now, who is your, because this is going to be controversial, your king and queen? They don't have to be like a couple, just who's your favorite guy and your favorite girl. And then I'll tell you mine, and it's going to be shocking.
Oh my gosh, I
Okay.
can't wait. Mine is favorite girl is Lala for sure. She's the most interesting to watch, by a mile, in my opinion. And I think that, and my king is James. James is also incredible television, even sober, He's flicking water on Max to wake him up because, and he's, saying horrible things. He's a dumpster fire of a person that makes for great television.
Oof.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to say that Ariana is my queen. I think that, and for different reasons, like Lauren is coming from, who's the most interesting to watch. I'm like, who do I like the most? Who do I want to be friends with in real life? Absolutely, hands down, Ariana. I think she continues to be the most rational person on the Bravo franchise, on any of the Bravo franchises. And I just, I love her. And I didn't initially when she came on the show. Thought she was like a boyfriend stealer. But I think my king, I want to say Randall, because I just think he's like extremely likable despite all the, the cheating. But I think that Tom Sandoval, seeing what he did for James's proposal was unreal to me. I'm like, I want to be friends with Sandoval in real life because he goes, above and beyond for his friends. So, I'm coming from, I guess, a pure side of things. And I love Ariana and Tom Sandoval.
You really like the couple. You really are a Tom and Ariana fan.
That being said, I don't know if I totally believe in their love. I don't know if I believe in them as a duo, to be quite honest. But I really like both of them individually.
I'm not sure that I see the appeal per se of all that.
Really?
I don't either, David. I'm with you.
You don't like either of them?
I used to love, well, I guess I never really loved. I'm starting to see Sandoval in a much different light.
Oh, really?
Okay, I want to hear. Yes.
What kind of light?
Like just high maintenance and like difficult to get along with. I'm not criticizing him. I just think like the whole Jax thing, and then like the whole, I'm this is not a criticism. It's just an observation. Like, like Jax has an issue with you, like whatever, because like you didn't like what he said. You got mad at him. Now you're freaking out about Katie and like, and I'm not saying he's not right. I'm just saying like, I'm starting to be like, maybe we didn't see this really high maintenance Tom Sandoval for all these years. And just like being with like my mustache and like I am like a hipster, even though I have money now. I'm not criticizing him. I'm just saying I'm starting to see like why maybe everyone's like, oh God, Sandoval, no thanks.
Well, I mean, most of his scenes are either him like primping, pumping iron, or complaining that people don't like his ideas. Like he's just, I find him to be most of the time unlikable, actually.
Oh, well, that's so funny.
I do find when he's tender about his friendship or his, love for Ariana, then I get back in his corner. But most of the time I find him to be like an egomaniac.
And the whole Ariana thing, I'm not sure I understand.
Really?
All of that.
I mean, I feel like when they were sitting at the table and having the argument where Tom was coming for Katie and Ariana was not just like blindly backing him, I was like, I kind of like, I believe that like, I think she's like a really rational person. And I don't know, I just like her. As far as entertaining television goes, Lala's clearly very entertaining. James, to me, though, has been kind of boring this season. I mean, he had this like blow up with Max, but I don't know. He's like annoying to me. I never want to be inside James Kennedy's head. Like the idea that you would say in the sober light of day, like call someone fat multiple times,
right? Like
is beyond me. I'm just like oh evil. My gosh, do you actually think like a 15-year-old boy all the time?
Okay, listen, I have a lot to say with that, but I agree with James being the king. I do.
Really?
Thank you. Yes.
I do. I find like even when he was just on Watch What Happens with Raquel, recently.
Mhm.
I find James like he's at that Stassi level of like, where were you all of our lives? His one-liners, he's so good on reality TV.
He is. I agree.
He's so like, even when he was on Watch with Andy and he's like, what? And he's just like, he's not even really paying attention. He says something, he almost laughs at his own jokes because he knows they're funny. His one-liners are funny. And so he almost laughs at them. And then like, I don't know. And even when he's cocky, it's endearing.
I mean, when he's telling Raquel that she can't wear her wedding ring to work, like when he's just like lecturing her about how she has to treat her wedding ring so well, like it's kind of like awful, but it's also kind of amazing because I just cannot imagine being in a relationship with a person like that.
Right. And like for all of like whoever, like you look at certain couples and you're like, I'm not saying the other ones aren't together now, but I really do feel that James probably has learned, and like I don't think he would cheat on Raquel for real.
Okay,
I hope
so
not.
I think that James's love for Raquel is so beautiful. It's so sweet. I think that he really loves her. However, he seems like his belligerent, angry side. It seems
Sober, belligerent, angry side too.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Chandler. The sober, belligerent, angry side. He seems like the guy who will, at some point, be a terrible husband in your like middle age. Once you're no longer like he's not so obsessed with you physically, like he just seems so like obsessed and drawn to Raquel because of the way she looks, and she is so beautiful. But I do think that there's something kind of dark about that too, because I don't know, like the way James treats people and ridicules people for their physical appearance. I just feel like there's an ugly side to that seems inevitable.
Yeah, which is why I cannot make him my king.
That makes sense. And I do think like Lala, for me, I get it. I do think she steals every scene. I think that she's great, and she is like the Stassi of the show now, in the sense that I think, outside the show, will have the biggest career and has the biggest career. But this is going to be strange probably to most people when I say this, but my queen is actually Raquel, and I'll explain why. Here's the thing. I find, whereas like I'm bored in a sense that I'm not learning anything new, really. Like I don't need to know anymore about like, guess what? Ariana and Tom love to make cocktails. Really? Well, I mean, there you go. We found something out today. Katie needs to like push Tom Schwartz aside and like storm in and take the reins. Okay, wow. We know. I'm finding Raquel to be the most interesting one for me to watch, because like we don't know her, and I'm enjoying getting to know her, and I feel like she's the one I'm getting to know the most this season, and she's coming out of her shell, and I'm learning more about her. And I do find like her, like she's authentic, like in her kind of like ditzy Valley Girl way, but that's really her. And so I totally could see how her and James work. James is like a strong personality, and he feels like he's rescuing her in a way. Not that, she needs rescuing because she's drop dead gorgeous, but I feel like she feels comfortable with James, and James feels like warm and fuzzy, like family. Like she'll stay by him. I don't know. I'm really finding getting to know her interesting.
I just feel like Raquel. Oh, sorry. I just think Raquel is. I agree in some sense. Like last season, I found her to be so boring, and now I find her sincerity and sweetness to be like oddly beguiling. Like I kind of lean in when she's on the screen. Like I find her to just be very interesting to watch. So I agree with you there, but I do want to say I think that she could do so much better than James, and so it like is painful to watch her commit herself to him, because she is just like a top quality person, and James is such a problematic person in so many ways, and I hate that word, but he really is.
But maybe he's changed.
I don't know. I think she's the best thing that's ever happened to him, and I do not see him changing. Like for good. I don't think he's going to become a fundamentally better person.
But doesn't he realize that she's the best thing that's ever happened? Like, doesn't he now realize this?
Yes, I think he realizes that, but the fact that he's still calling people fat, like while sober, and being like so cruel about people's physical appearances, not to come back to this, but it does bear repeating, in my opinion. Like, it is so emblematic of a person that is not a good human being.
No,
Like,
I mean,
has serious issues.
he has like the brain of a middle schooler, like in his cruelty. Like he
Right.
seems so stunted to me as like a man.
Huh. I
How
see. Huh. I mean, he
Wow.
also does get special, preferential treatment by Lisa.
Oh yeah.
Like
I
he
mean,
he can do no wrong.
the scene where Lisa had him and Max kind of like try to make amends, it was just so classic, like reality show fake. Like, in what world would Lisa Vanderpump be trying to like have them both over to mend their friendship? Like, she wouldn't have anything to do with it if they weren't
Right.
on the show.
I'm just like, you know, why you don't go against Max? Like, that's like the bosses. I mean, I know like
Oh yeah.
he still DJs there. I'm like, how is this okay for your career?
Right. Yeah, it did.
You
I
know?
don't know. That was very strange.
I don't know. I'm really liking Raquel. I don't know what happened. It just in the middle of nowhere, I decided like Raquel is my person that I just am intrigued to watch.
Okay. I can see that. I really like have liked her more this season. I have to just say one final thought about this season and Raquel specifically. The idea of Coachella being everyone's personalities was so cringy to me. Like everyone being obsessed with Coachella and having this entire, multi-episode theme of Raquel, where Coachella was like this amazing time for Raquel. The idea of also having a Coachella themed proposal is just like so gross to me. It's like the worst part of like Southern California culture. And I've been
Yeah,
to Coachella.
it wasn't really I didn't really understand it. I don't know. Maybe it'll get better. I just really was kind of, I don't know. I'm kind of just not loving it. I'm not.
Yeah. Okay.
And is there any buzz about it? Like, is anybody, I feel like nobody's really buzzing and watching it.
Well, I
I
think
don't think
people just assume that it's bad because, like, I think people really underestimate how many people were watching that show to watch Stassi Schroeder. And so when Stassi's off, I think a lot of people tuned out, like, and stopped watching almost in solidarity. Like, her fans are so intense.